And we're live, and we're back to talk a little bit about African traditional religion and who are the main characters that I have been naming off. Some of you have been asking about who is Orumala, who is Olorun, who is Oladumare. Some people call him Oladulamare, or some call him Omare. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about Olorun. You've heard me mention Olorun as the character that exists in the same position as Jesus does, at the right hand of God. Olorun is been known to be God's he, she, or it, because we don't know what gender God is, but we like to put Orumala or Olorun in its proper place. Olorun is at the right hand of God, and he actually was at the position of the right hand of God when you kneeled in position and asked to come to earth. Yes, you made acquaintance and a contract with Olorun or Rumala, and you told Orumala that you had a mission here and that there was something you were supposed to do here. So you contracted with Orumala. You must also understand that Orumala was also instrumental in creating each of us. Yes, God has been known to be the creator of us, but actually, God gave us the breath of life when Olorun basically created, Oromala created and shaped us and molded us. He was a crafty prophet that was able to sculpture us and mold us. And he had his tools to shape and mold us. But we knew Oromala before we came to earth. We just forgotten about him. And you've been so busy calling out Jesus' name that you didn't know the African tradition of Orumala and did not realize he was the same right hand man as Jesus. Um, a number of you are acknowledging your slave masters, ancestors, and your slave masters' religious deities. And Jesus, if not put in the proper perspective, of a Roma can easily be confused as a Caucasian who you're praying to someone else's ancestors. But in reality, Jesus' real name was Yeshua as well as Orumala, because he was God's right hand man, and God was no relationship to Jesus, and because God had no known next of kin, he created himself from himself out of triple darkness. And as he created himself, he had no known next of kin, and God was alone, and he needed someone to express himself because he had already made a commitment that he told us to take dominion over the earth and subdue it. So therefore, he could not come down here and do anything in the form of God, but he had to have a man or woman to know experience through. So he was alone and he was lonely. So he created the deities, he created the firmament around him and the animals, and then he created man because he wanted to know what expression was, and he wanted to experience that expression through us. Just as you know, the firmament was actual human beings who wanted to become deified. So he allowed them to stay here on earth, and they became deified. And as he allowed them to come here to earth and become deified, those are angels, such as your trees, your rivers, and your oceans, and your mountains. They have become deified entities, fixed entities who were once human beings who could move and have their being. But they chose to become deities. Just as God has many, 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 many expressions, He has over 256 Odus that expressed his likeness and character, but we mainly deal with 7 of them to express God's deity. Oshun, who represents the oceans and the rivers. Yamenye, that represents the oceans, the creeks, and the rivers, and she is nature, and she nurtures the universe. And we have Shango, which is the thunder god who brings us the thunder, the lightning god. And then we have, and he represents the fire. And then we have Obatala, who is a father over all of the deities and the Orisha. He is a man in white who actually demands our respect by virtue of his virtuous behavior and his lifestyle. Obatala has many features that we are going to take some time to get into next week. I did tell a young man that I was going to put a couple of videotapes out that would actually do some teaching in the area of Yamenye, in the area of Yoruba teaching. So I'm just going to briefly touch upon Oromala today. And you must understand that Oduduwa, there was a story of Oduduwa having many children that normally gave him homage and respect. And one of his children was also a Batala, and he thought that everyone should bow down to him rather than him bowing down to everyone, including his father. Even though his father was an Obatala, he didn't, I mean, was, he didn't think that he was supposed to bow down to his father because his father was a Babalaw. And he was a Babalaw too, not Obatala. And his father thought he was supposed to honor him, no matter if he was a Babalaw. And all of his children came one day to honor him and to pay respect. But his youngest son refused to bow down in the presence of his father. His father was very angry about this, so angry that he left home. And he had been accustomarily to giving instructions to his children, explaining to them how to live their life. This time he decided to scribe everything in a form of a reading for them to get their lessons from henceforth on because of his youngest son not acknowledging him and bowing down. So he told all the other children he would not be coming back to give them any instruction, that he left them instructions in the cola nuts, that they can cast the cola nuts and get the reading, and it would tell them what to do, and that the I Ching chains, they could throw the I Chings, and the I Ching, the 16 cowrie shells would give them a reading and instruction for their life. And henceforth, the oracles were born through Oduduwa because his one child was defiant, not all of his children. So he created the I Ching chains to deal with his children and the cola nuts that had a mouth that would speak and give instructions to their children. Now, I know all this sounds pretty wicked or pretty mystical, but you must remember that the African's world is a mystical world, and they deal in the acoustic, cosmic, cosmetic, whatever is above is below. As you know, the skies are mystical and the stars are mystical. So whatever is above is below. We have the same thing going on down here in earth that's going on in heaven. So it's very mystical. And you will find that these stories, now these poetic gestures, there are many of these Odus in the Odu book that can be read and given for a reading once lot has been cast and the specific poetry has been named that is applicable to that particular Odu. And then the poetry is brought out and read. And usually it's a very, very deep and elegant story that goes into detail and that includes people and things, and it could be two or three different venues, and you have to pick the one that is closest to the reading. And as you read the story in the poetry, it usually has something to do with the person's situation. And then, therefore, they use that as their reading so that they can clear up any uh, clouds that may be over their life and that may be hindering them from going forward. But the reason why I feel that a Babalawo should do these readings, because the Babalawo will also cast a lot to see what your Odu, your Ebal should be. After he reads your Odu, then he finds out what the Ebal, what must you do as a sacrifice to cover that reading that he's giving you a solution for your life. And in that Ebal is an instruction that will tell you what is your sacrifice, what must you bring to the sacrifice. And I don't feel that at this time it is a good thing for priestess to be yielding themselves out to do the ebal. When the ebal is very detailed, that's after the reading. It is the sacrifice that you bring for asking for the reading. Now, I'm not going to be able to go into a lot of heavy things today, but what I can tell you is that you have a trinity. God is not a polytheistic, many gods. He is a monotheistic, one God. But let me explain the essence of God and how we know God to be. There is a man called, there is a he, she, or it called Akamare. He is the Trinity that represents the essence of God in the area of Olorun, who is ratified combustible fire, Ori, who has clothed in matter, who also ratified fire, but clothed in matter so he could sit on your head and he could speak to you and be your personal God. And then there's Olodumare, who is also ratified energy. But Olodumare, he actually has been clothed with matter so that you could interact with Akamare, but you cannot interact with you can interact with Olodumare, but Akamare is the one that created the heavens and the earth and that dwells at the inner court of heaven and the outer court of heaven. He has no concern with the affairs of man whatsoever. He doesn't come down here to do anything with us because he's given us dominion. Okay? And we must remember Akamare will interact with us as a God. And let's say Olodumare will interact with us as a God. And Oromala is God's right-hand man. Okay? And sometimes I think Oromala and Olorun are interchangeable. I have to check on that one. But nevertheless, Oromala is the one that you made your confession to. Oromala is the one you kneel down at the right hand of, and you made your confession because Oromala created us. Remember that. We were created by Oromala. We were not created by God. God saw fit to instruct Oromala to sculpture us and to mold us. He made some hunchback. He made some crippled. He made some blind. He deformed and marked some so that they would be privy to worshiping God. They will be committed to worshiping God. And usually this was sort of like a curse put on their mothers and their fathers who refused to worship them. So he beckoned their offspring and demanded that they would worship them through crippling them through some handicap. But nevertheless, Oromala sculptured and molded us. And then God came in and said, I will give the breath of life. So he breathed into the nostrils of man and gave man life. But his daughter, Amy, is the one that gives the heartbeat. And when you are coming to life, Amy comes in you with the heartbeat, the fluttering of the heartbeat. And when you lose your life and transition, God snatches Amy out of your life. Now, Oromala can alter the day of death for you. And having the ability to alter the day of death means you could be scheduled to die on a Monday because of your prayers and the people making intercession for you, praying on your behalf that your destiny has not been completed. Oromala has the ability to alter the day of death and to change that date and delay it. Only Oromala. Now, I'm not so certain if God participates in that, because you must remember that Oromala sculptured and made you. But you must also remember that Oromala is the right hand of Ifa, the right hand of God. These deities may not be so important to you right now, but for those who are Ewos, who are student and devotees, you must learn to become a devotee, someone that's devoted to Oromala, and devoted to Olori, and devoted to Ori, and devoted to Akamari. And you are student and studying. And a devotee never finishes learning. He's always learning. Now, I'm putting these videotapes out for those new beginners. This may be things you already know, but for the benefit of those EWOs that are very new and did not participate in my previous studies that I did on Oracle Divination Network when I had my channel with Blog Talk. You might have missed those series, and a lot of it was done under the auspices of Kemetic. And why is it not? I wanted the Kemetic to be set up where it could be interchangeable. The names may change slightly, but they have the same structure in the traditional African faith as Ifa and also as the Kemetic teaching. Excuse me. And I want to say that these names may not be important to you, but you will hear short names like Olorun. You might hear Odudawa, and you'll know that he was the foundation of creating the actual divination. But you must know the creation story. And the creation story is a bit different from our biblical story that we get from the Bible in the creation story when they say in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. This is a little different. This creation story talks about um, a chamomile and a chicken coming here to earth to see if it was fermented, and coming here with a basket of sand that they scattered amongst the earth. And the chicken came first. And this is what they want you to know, that you must honor the chicken because the chicken came before the egg. And the chicken is very valuable. That is why the chicken is used in sacrifices. And the chicken is very, very important in the Yoruba faith. Yoruba is a way of life. It is not a religion, but a way of life. And Ifa is a religion, and Ifa will mend our broken hearts. Ifa can alter the day of death. Only Ifa knows the day of death, and he can alter it. the ephah, you must understand that the cause of illness only Ifa knows and can cure every illness because he knows the inception of illness. That is why this religion is so valuable, and it must be refurbished and reintroduced to the general populations of African American. So many other Hispanics and Caucasian have gotten a hold to our religion and see the value in the cosmic balance of the religion. It balances itself because when you talk about evil, you cannot talk about evil without talking about goodness. They exist in duality. And we must understand that everything must be done in duality. That is why evil can be allowed to exist because good exists. You can appease evil for a little while to get off of good's back in order to create balance in society. Sometimes you will find that evil, the trickster, appears to be evil, but in reality, he is not evil. He is there to make you think that sometimes evil must exist, like wars must exist, in order to prevent someone from taking over somebody else's material things or coveting their things. So the Africans think in duality, you say. Yes, that's what I'm saying. And I'm also saying that women have a place in society and they're not treated indifferently where they are a lower person who walks behind the man. They're standing at the side of a man because a woman is looked at as equal to a man who can perform the duties of a Babalaw, just like a Inyalade, who assists the Babalaws in doing the initiations and also doing the rituals and doing the readings. So you must be sacrificed. Why must an animal's blood be shed? Let me try to clarify that for you the best I can. In sacrifice, sacrifice is honorable. Something must be sacrificed in order to replace a painful situation where they're going to alleviate the pain for a little while in exchange for you to compromise and do something for the universe. And then the universe is happy because you have duality again for a while, for a moment, for an hour, for a year. And then you have to resort back to the rituals asking for a little more time of having relief. Just like in the Bible, they talk about all of the people bringing the oxen and the cattle and offering them as offering. God inhabits our offering and our sacrifices. So therefore, everything is not with bloodshed. It depends on the nature of your condition and how serious it is or how much of a crime you have that you need to get out of, whether or not blood is required for that sacrifice or not. It might just be to feed one of your ancestors. It might just be to kill a goat, but the goat is never wasted. It's killed and it's cooked and it's eaten. And at the same time, your sacrifice is being met because they needed the bloodshed in order to do a sacrifice when you're in much, much high trouble, they call it. Now, let me say this. For a lot of young men, this might be the right religion for you because it's not called a religion, but a way of life. There is much prayer required in the morning when you get up and when you go to sleep. That prayer is done on the floor where you're prostrating yourself in different positions and you're paying homage to God. But the face is usually washed and the arms up to the elbows are clean before you go and see Romala. Your face is clean. But it's very, very important to know that you also do a reading for yourself. And there is a special type of cornmeal substance that you're doing the odus with for yourself. And you get your reading for yourself. And then you taste the actual cornmeal and you put it on your head going backwards so that you internalize this reading within your head. Readings are very, very important in the African faith, the oracle readings, and two of them, they're done with two different type of apparatus. One is done with an I Ching chain that has chains on it and cowrie shells, 16 of them. And they throw the cowrie chains to get a reading, and they get the actual signature Odu, and then they look that signature up and they receive a poetry reading, and the poetry reading relates to what is wrong in that person's life. Now, you do have the I Kings, and the I Kings are usually taken out in inaugurations and special rituals and special types of readings for the nation and the universe. And they're usually placed in a corner, in a dry place, in a bowl with the 16 odus in there that have the mouth. Now, mind you now, if you're using cowrie shells to make your I Ching chain, you must use a file to open the mouth, and you have the mouth and the butt. And the mouth speaks to you saying yes, and the butt speaks to you saying no. So, what I'm trying to tell you is that you might as well get acquainted with Oromala, because Oromala is who you also, when you pour your 7 glass of water, you dedicate one to Oromala as well, because he is high up on the totem pole. Remember, you bow down to Oromala and you commission him to write a contract, because you set up a contract to come here to do some specific thing. I don't know what it is. Only you know. And that's why you work all your life to find your purpose of why you came here and what you are subject to do, because you won't leave until you complete that thing that you claim you come to do, because it might happen that your death may be altered until you complete what it is you're supposed to do. Now, I can't say that for sure, but I'm assuming that, because we all have a purpose and we must find our destiny. My my world, it moves so fast today. The past, it seems so very far away. And life squeezes me so tight, I can barely breathe. And every time I try to be what someone else thought of me, I became so caught up that I was unable to achieve. But deep in my heart, you know, the angel, it was inside of me. And I made up my mind to define my very own best destiny. And whoa, I hear so many crying for help, people that's outside of themselves. Now I know the answer, it lies deep within me. But deep within my heart, oh, the answers were deep within me. And I made up my mind to define my very own best destiny. And whoa, I, and I I'm going to define my own destiny, my own destiny, my own destiny. That's right. You've got to define your own destiny. And that's what you're here to discover on this earth. And you must make prayers to Oromala and acknowledge Oromala by filling a glass of water and dedicating it to your altar. Now, Oromala was a sculptor, a very, very brilliant sculptor and designer. And he oftentimes did his work late in the night to sculpture as many bodies as he can. He knows the nature of our body because he sculptured it. And I wanted you to know about Oromala because you have made a deal with Oromala and you kneel beside him and told him what it is in his ear. Only you know what that promise was and the contract was. And I wanted you to know that you were under contract by virtue of kneeling and praying to Oromala. And we cannot waste, we must make time to get to know Oromala. So get to know the Yoruba faith and understanding that it is a way of life and not a religion. And it's something that you can carry in your spirit. It's something that you can quickly make readings on by doing the OB, where you have the 4 cowrie shells for yes or no answer. Everyone needs direction for their life. Everyone needs guidance for their life and need to know what it is they're supposed to do in order to steer clear from Mr. Enforcer. So take some time to get to know more about the religion of Ifa, because Ifa will mend our broken hearts. And it is not an organized religion, but a way of life that will help guide you and put you on the path. And not only put you on the path, but keep you there. So why not take a look at traditional African religion and see if it's something for you? I'm sure you will find one of the orishas to exemplify who you are out of the 7 major orishas. And we have 400 plus 1 on the right hand side and 200 plus 1 on the left hand side. And there are over 256 major odus that you should become acquainted with and learn more about. So thank you so much for this little segment that I gave you on the topic of Olumala or Olorun. Have a great day. Thank you.